مرحبا بكم مشاهدينا في حوارات السياق. ساعات حاسمة في عمر رئاسة تراس للحكومة البريطانية بعد أن قرأ وزير ماليتها الجديد جيريمي هانت الطقوس الأخيرة على خطتها الاقتصادية، وستحدد هذه الساعات ما إذا كانت تراس التي اعتذرت عن الفوضى الاقتصادية التي اجتاحت بريطانيا في أعقاب الميزانية المصغرة ستستمر في منصبها الذي يعد معلقا بخيط رفيع مع تصاعد ضغط حزب المحافظين عليها للاستقالة. عموما للمزيد من المتابعة حول هذا الملف ينضم إلينا الأستاذ بيتر أوبورن، الكاتب والمحلل السياسي في ميدل إيست آي. أستاذ بيتر، مرحبا بك معنا.
It's a real pleasure to join you. Thank you.
هل ستحتفظ تراس بمنصبها على رأس الحكومة البريطانية؟
I think it is highly unlikely that Liz Truss, the British Prime Minister, can survive more than a few weeks at most. I keep on expecting her to fall. She has lost the support of the Conservative Party, which she thinks that she leads. She's also deeply unpopular among the British people. What makes this completely remarkable is that she's only been Prime Minister for 2 months and already she seems to be on the way out.
ما لا نفهمه هنا هو ما الخطأ الذي ارتكبته والذي يتهدد منصبها بعد 5 أسابيع فقط في المنصب.
When Boris Johnson was deposed as her Prime Minister after 3 years, there was then a leadership contest inside the Conservative Party, and she ran as for leader on the basis of a new plan for economic growth. She announced this plan for economic growth, and the result was that the financial markets went crazy. The interest rates started to soar, sterling started to collapse, and unfortunately, Liz Truss was forced into a humiliating retreat. She was obliged to sack her finance minister, Kwasi Kwarteng, and then she was obliged to bring in another finance minister who has reversed almost all of her policies, which is deeply humiliating for her.
طيب، ألا يفترض أن يدعمها حزبها؟ ما هذه العدائية داخل الحزب الواحد؟
The Conservative Party doesn't support her because she has inflicted terrible damage on the livelihoods of many of their voters, because if interest rates go up and the national currency falls, people are going to go and get poorer, and we're now expecting house prices to fall. We're expecting businesses to collapse because of higher interest rates. And so what she's done with her growth plan is to jeopardize the security of millions of British citizens, as a result of which she has become very unpopular.
وكأنك تخبرني أن الأولوية في هذه المرحلة، مرحلة الإصلاح الاقتصادي، هي لإقالة الحكومة.
The financial markets lost confidence in the British government, and it's essential for Britain to regain the confidence of the international money markets. I think that it was essential that Kwasi Kwarteng, the previous finance minister, had to go to restore confidence, and it is becoming essential that Liz Truss has to go, the Prime Minister has to go, in order to restore confidence. She's also lost all authority as Prime Minister because her plans have been destroyed and she's gone into reverse. It's very painful to watch.
هناك سيناريو يتم تداوله أن الوزير الجديد للخزانة سيدير الدفة وستستمر تراس في موقعها بالاسم فقط. هل هذا ما سيحدث؟
It has been embarrassingly obvious for several days now that the new finance minister, Jeremy Hunt, is actually running the country. And he's forcing onto Liz Truss a series of decisions she didn't want to make. When she appeared, gave a press conference a few days ago to announce these changes, she looked to me very much like somebody in a hostage video, being forced to say things which she or he did not believe. It was very striking that she was almost frozen and very unhappy.
لماذا لا تستقيل إذن مع كونها غير سعيدة كما ذكرت وفقدانها لكل سلطاتها؟
That is a very important question. Liz Truss has lost all authority as Prime Minister. She seems not to be aware of this. So she's trying, as many leaders would do in such circumstances, to hang on in power. And there is another reason. Obviously, the Conservative Party now has to make a decision about who will replace her. And there won't be agreement about that. And while there's an argument behind the scenes at present inside the governing Conservative Party about who should be the next party leader and therefore Prime Minister, I think that Liz Truss is just clinging on, but she's clinging on without power.
بما أنك جئت على ذكر الأمر، من سيكون قبطان السفينة في حال تنحيتها؟
There are several candidates. The new finance minister, Jeremy Hunt, who is now running the country, must stand a high chance. He's not very popular among the Conservative Party because, in my view, he's much too sensible for the membership. And then there is Rishi Sunak, who came second in the leadership election to Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak warned of the financial consequences of her course of action. That puts him in a strong position. There are also some people who say that the defense minister, Ben Wallace, who's very much occupied with the situation in Ukraine, may stand a chance.
كيف سيؤثر ما حدث في السنوات الأخيرة حتى حكومة تراس على حزب المحافظين؟
I think it is perfectly possible that the Conservative Party will vanish. This is that serious a moment. And let's reflect that the British Conservative Party is probably the most successful political party in the Western world over the last 200 years. It's governed Britain most of the time as a great democratic party. It's the party of Winston Churchill. It's the party of Margaret Thatcher. It's the party which, took Britain through some of World War I, much of World War II as well. It's synonymous with Britain in many ways. And at the moment, I'm afraid it's a madhouse. It's a shambles. Its popularity is crashing among ordinary voters to something like 20%. If current polls were duplicated in a general election, the Conservative Party would be fortunate to win 1 or 2 seats in a parliament of 600 plus. So it does face potential wipeout.
بيتر، الأحزاب المحافظة تكسب مساحات في الساحة السياسية في عدد من الدول الأوروبية، لماذا يحدث العكس في بريطانيا؟
You say that Conservative parties are gaining popularity in Europe. I wonder, if you look at a different kind of international trend, what happened in the United States is very comparable, I think, where you had an out-of-control American president, a far-right figure called Donald Trump, and he lost out to a very sensible, rather boring man, Joe Biden, but the United States returned to sort of common sense, you might say, or centralist politics. You've just seen recently seen the same thing happen in Australia. And so if we lost Liz Truss, who is comparable, I think, not in her personality, which is rather repressed, but in many of her policies, to Donald Trump, then I think it might not be surprising if the British Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, who's criticised for lacking charisma, might become a rather boring national leader. And maybe after all this excitement, that's what Britain would like.
أستاذ بيتر أوبورن، شكرا للمشاركة معنا في حوارات السياق.
Thank you.
مشاهدينا، شكرا على طيب المتابعة. إلى الملتقى.